I'm a military brat. My dad's an Army Major veteran. When I was a little boy, we lived in Germany for 5 years. In the late 80s, early 90s, got to see the Berlin Wall fall when I was about 5, 6 years old, which is one situation that kind of helped, change my life for the future. Seeing another country get freedom for the first time in decades when you had family and friends being separated from each other. So, once that happened, I came to the States. Time went by, of course 9/11 occurred, we just recently passed. And when that happened, I realized how much patriotism I had, just built inside of me. Because watching it happen to my country, and even though I was in Maryland at the time, it was still, New York was home for us because we're all Americans. It really put me in a mode of wanting to fight and get out there and just fight for the country. And I just kept going from that point on. And I really didn't really feel that patriotism come back again until the 2016 elections happened. And at that time, Dr. Ben Carson, before Trump, is who I supported, because I grew up with Dr. Ben Carson. My dad met the man 3 times. They're both Seventh-day Adventists in the church. Gave me the book Gifted Hands when I was a little boy. He talked to me, my dad told me, he gave me that book. As a black man in America, you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to be a musician, you don't have to be an actor. You can be successful in here if you work hard enough and you put your mind to it, you can be anything in this country. So when Dr. Ben Carson ran, I didn't care whether he was Republican, Democrat, Independent, Tea Party, whatever it may be, I was there. I was going to support Dr. Ben Carson. I did. And of course, the media lied about the whole West Point situation with him when he was leading in the primaries, which ruined his chances. And then I saw, President Trump, he came up, and I also had an interview with a young lady on ABC, and he got to the point where he embarrassed her so bad because she was trying to manipulate the story around that she was quiet, didn't know what to say. He was like, speak up, honey, come on, say something, what do you got to say? And I was like, wow, Trump is like, he doesn't play around the media, man. This guy's no joke. And I was like, okay. So I never had a problem with Trump. I remember Trump growing up, right before he ran, he was in wrestling with Vince McMahon and everything, shaved his head bald. I remember Home Alone 2 as a little boy. All the black rappers from New York in the 90s was a black Trump one time or another, showing off. So Trump was cool, man. I never had a problem with Trump. So I just said with him, I just thought maybe he was running to put his business out there. I didn't know if he was serious. When I saw how he spoke in that report, I did some research on him, and I said, wow, Trump's been saying the same thing since the late 70s, early 90s, and he's saying now, running as president of the United States. So I said, okay, if he's serious, if he's being honest, he's got my support. I came out, said I support President Trump. As soon as I came out and support, and on Facebook, I'm supporting the president, not president, but then candidate Trump. My friends, family, I'm from Maryland, very blue state. This blue in New York is not more blue. Cussed me out, called me all kinds of names. It was just a heavy backlash. I still got family members to this day that won't talk to me. And so it really just, but me being American, me loving my country, I didn't sit back and just take it. I had a good friend of mine from childhood call me up like, Chris, everybody talk to you like this online? I'm like, no, man, I'm going to say something. So I replied back one by one to everybody individually and educated them about the president, or the candidate Trump at that time, and a history of the Democratic Party and Republican Party. And I did a lot of that, and it really just, really just had to defend myself. And when Trump won the election, I kind of came out and mocked quite a few people. But it was like a victory won for all of America when he won that night in 2016. So when he did that, I was one day just going on a rant, probably about 2 or 3 months after he won the election, and I was just going off, and I was getting like 1 or 2 likes a day at this time. And a good friend of mine, Quan, she said, why don't you do like a video? Why don't you start doing videos? Because I see you're ranting all the time. You can probably just put it all on on video and let people see it. So I was like, come on, I don't even do pictures for him. Like back then, I was like, give me a break. And she's like, no, just just do a quick video, just talking about your day, send it to me, and I'll tell you what I think. So I just rode the bus from work home that day, and what I saw on the bus, I told her in a little video. And New York can be very interesting if you have your headphones off and listen. So I told her a pretty interesting story, and she thought it was great. She was like, I called her up, I was like, what do you think? She said, oh, it was wonderful. I laughed. I was interested in what you had to say. It was intriguing. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest. She was like, no, it was really good. You should consider doing videos. So the next day, I was riding the bus home, and I saw Brandon Strzok from the Walkaway movement, the founder of the Walkaway. He did a video, his personal video, why he left the Democratic Party and became a Republican. And at the end of his video, if you remember, I remember seeing it to this day, it was all black in the background, he was just quiet, he was just talking towards the camera, and it was so powerful. And he said at the end, if you have a story to tell, send me your video and I'll post it on Facebook. So I literally, as soon as I saw the video, I got my bus stop, and I had to walk home about half a mile. So I took my phone out, I recorded myself, and you watch my very first video, that's the first time I ever did a video. I say, here's my walk-away story. What better way to tell a walk-away story than when you're walking away? So here you go. So I just go off and I tell them a lot, but I just told you guys about me growing up in a military household, the love for the country, the respect, how I went from Democrat to voting, like Dr. Ben Carson got me to the Republican side of things, and how that all started. And I sent it to Brandon, and he shared it on his Facebook, and the video went viral. So when he shared it and it went viral, I had from 130 Facebook friends, I had 5,000 in one day. Because people were just sending me friend requests like crazy. So when that happened I said, okay, let me start a YouTube channel and tag it on my video on my Facebook Lives. It's so popular, and let people know I got a YouTube channel. I'm making videos once a week. So I did that, and by God's glory, that YouTube channel went from only having about 1,000 subscribers for my first video for the walkaway. Now I got about over 100 videos and about 30,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So it's grown quite a bit, and it's just a lot of amazing things have happened because of it. The Turning Point USA team reached out to me. They asked me to come for the Young Black Leadership Summit and the Black Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. Got to meet Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, Charlie Kirk. This list goes on, I can say. Just a lot of real patriots. And it taught me a lot. It was the largest gathering of black conservatives in American history. There were 400 black conservatives at the White House. We were walking through the streets of D.C. with all the MAGA hats on. You could see people's faces like, what is going on here? Like, is this really happening? I'm like, oh yeah, we're here. And we were making our voices heard. And we got to see the president speak, and it was amazing. Seeing the White House was amazing. I'm a history buff myself, so it was just amazing walking through that White House. And all the amazing photographs I took. But when Trump came out to speak to us, it was like the cool uncle at Thanksgiving coming over, and he just walks in the door, you're like, oh, here he is, It wasn't like he was trying to be Mr. Presidential, and I'm up here and you're down here. It was just like a cool guy, hey man, I'm glad to see you guys, I'm glad you guys can make it. And he just really just set the place ablaze. We were giving a standing ovation when he was done. We were just giving him so much credit, and everybody was so happy to have the opportunity. He took pictures with a lot of us afterwards. It was so packed. Unfortunately, I couldn't get up there to get a picture with him, but he took a picture with a lot of us, and it was an amazing experience, amazing event. And I started a group here as well, because when I was doing my videos, people were reaching out to me in New York in my comment section. The video was like, hey man, a black conservative walking through Brooklyn talking about Trump? He's like, I didn't think that even existed. He's like, I'm a Republican, man. I'm in Staten Island, or I'm in Long Island, or I'm in Bronx, in Manhattan, Harlem. And they're telling me, how can I get, do you have anything we can do, be a part of? Because, there's nothing here in New York. So it kept happening so much, I decided to start a group called the CRA, which stands for Conservative Republican Alliance. Conservative Republican Alliance of New York. And I just started up my first group. I said, I want to have a group where I get conservatives and Republicans in the area together, where we can meet up and talk about the president without having to say the T word, I call it. You just say Trump's name, it's all good. So I started an event, it only had about 3 people at my first event. And at my last event, last 2 events was the candlelight, 9/11 candlelight we had at the Memorial in Manhattan, which had almost 100 people there. It was an amazing turnout, and we all had candlelights, and we had people come out and speak where they were during 9/11, how it affected them, and it was a very amazing night, very powerful night. And the event before that, we had in front of Trump Tower when de Blasio, or Tommy de Blasio as I like to call him, where he painted Black Lives Matter graffiti in front of Trump Tower. So we came out there about a week later, and with the CRA, and we did an event. We had over 200 people show up for Trump on the president's side and the conservative side of things. And when Black Lives Matter showed up, there was only about, out of 50 people, there's maybe 2 or 3 black people with them. And I'm like, it was, when they came up, I had a microphone in my hand, I was talking already. When they came up, I saw them, and one, it was like, not to bring race up into this, but it was a white young lady. She had a Black Trans Lives Matter sign or whatever. And I just came up to him and I was like, where are your black people? Where are your black people? Where are they? Like, they're all over on our side. Because in CRA, that day we had about 80% of our group was minorities. Black, Hispanic, white, everybody was there. It was New York City is what it looked like. So when they saw me in our group, they didn't know how to react. They were just like, because they had their typical talking points, oh, you're a Nazi, oh, you're racist, oh, Trump, blah, blah, blah. And when they saw us and saw not only that we were there and we were diverse, but all of us knew what we were talking about. And we had guys from all around the country. We had guys from Baltimore, guys from California, guys from Texas come to show up. And they all had their own ways of speaking and getting a message across. And it was, one way is more aggressive than the others with some people, but we got our message across, and it was a powerful moment. And I just want to continue to help support candidates running in the local elections. Every Monday, I interview a local candidate. So, I'm doing whatever I can to help what I call Turn New York Red, because like the rally, that was the name of the rally I had, and that's my goal with the CRA, is to turn New York red. And Trump just came out and said New York's for grabs. So if the president's saying it, I'm going to fight for my president, and I'm going to do what I can as a citizen to get it done. And I want to tell everybody from the grassroots level, we all can do what I'm doing. There's nothing special about me. I show people I literally walk down the street with a phone in my hand recording myself. Anybody can do that, And that's my main goal out of all of this at the end of the day, is just to get more patriots to stand up and get their voices heard. And that's the main goal. And the reason why I'm looking at grassroots campaigning, because there's a lot of people I know who, I went door to door when I was a young kid, when I was 14 years old, so it taught me at a young age not to be intimidated, to approach people and, get what you got to say out and let it be heard. And grassroots campaigning is what Trump needs really at the most right now, because the mainstream media won't help him out. There's rhino Republicans that want to help him out. Of course, the Democratic Party's not going to support him. So he needs the people to come out. And, like they had a boat event yesterday, a boat rally for Trump yesterday. And there Trump flew over in a helicopter and stopped on the bridge and waved at people coming underneath the bridge that were supporters. So, the president knows what we're doing, how important it is to his campaign for him getting reelected. Because if Trump doesn't get reelected, we are in very deep trouble when it comes to, the country, especially here in New York City. I look at what the situation with the Joe Biden thing, and when people, for the last 4 years, for example, I've been hearing, me being a Trump supporter, especially a black Trump supporter, you can coon, Uncle Tom, turn it back on your people, all this stuff, and all, rich white people this, rich 1% that, blah, 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 blah. But then it comes 2020, and you guys give us a rich white guy on your side as your candidate. So I'm like, what's the hypocrisy in that? And not only that, but which rich white guy who was, when he was been in office for almost 60 years, and he was for segregation in the 70s. He was out to fight to keep segregation going. He got prison reform passed, and prison reform, which gave you the 3 strikes law with Bill Clinton's help, which imprisoned more blacks than any bill ever passed in American history. He's told black people, you're not black unless you vote for him. He's called little black children cockroaches that like to hang on his hairy legs in the swimming pool. He had his fat boy corn pop that he talked about, this gangster that he supposedly knew.
Wants to tear down the wall, wants to tear it down, whatever's there.
Yeah, exactly. So he's done so much to show you that, I don't like using the word racist because the left says so much, it doesn't have any more power behind it. But that guy is a racist, from what I see. And, every time I debate somebody on the left, they say, oh, Trump's a racist. Well, give me an example. And, Central Park 5, Charlottesville. And then, I can just talk around that any day of the week. We know Trump had nothing to do with Charlottesville, and the Central Park 5 was more the mainstream media's fault than anybody else's, because they're the ones who didn't tell the story like 100% the way it was when it initially happened. So they're the ones who should be blamed. So other than that, they have nothing else. And with them, I can give them physical evidence of Biden being a racist. And, their party participated in racist acts in the past, from lynching, segregation, to Jim Crow, Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, saying blacks are growing like weeds and need to be cut and eliminated. I mean, on and on and on and on. I can see the racism in the past with the Democratic Party. And if anything, the Republican Party in the past, they have been helped blacks all the way up to the very first president, President Lincoln, who abolished slavery. So once you learn this information, it's kind of crazy. I mean, the first time I really got a lot of it was through Dinesh D'Souza's Hillary's America. Right. I saw that movie in the theater. I'll never forget that day I saw it in the theater. After the movie was over, I was almost at tears, because me being a history buff, I'm like, how did I not know any of this? I'm like, I study history. I grew up in school. History teacher, I can almost remember my name. I loved it. How did I come? I never knew this. And it's just because it just shows you the leftists, the liberals have controlled the education system for decades now. And you see how they manipulated a lot of people's minds with the media, with the education system, in so many different ways. And I have my parents, my grandparents' generation, all been brainwashed by this. So when I came out and I support the Republican Party, and I support history, and I tell my friends, my family members, it's like jumping over a lot of hurdles just to get to the basic point. Because I'm literally tearing so many walls down in their mind that's been built up from their family members, from their friends. So when you're telling them this truth, it's hard for them to comprehend it and then agree and move on with the new information that they learn. So it's a process, but what I see with President Trump is making the process a lot easier, because he is coming out the lowest black unemployment in American history under his presidency. Opportunity zones all around the area that are helping out a lot of young blacks. There's so much he's done. I mean, donated lifetime donations to HBCUs, black universities. So there's many things you can say that he's benefited the black community, but he's just benefited America in general. All Americans have benefited under Trump's presidency. When those tax cuts hit, everybody got a tax cut, not just black people or white people or Hispanics. We all did as Americans, And what he's done when it comes to border security, building the wall, with securing our border, getting ICE a lot bigger position in this country, what he's done with that. I mean, it's been amazing. This guy has been an amazing president, and it's just sad that the opposition is willing to do anything they can, which is turn this COVID thing into a pandemic to try to make him look bad, because of Trump derangement syndrome is all it is, TDS. So the one thing I really want to speak about is also what's going on here in New York City. The crime rate has gone up over 600% in the city. I saw a number where they said the 2019 death rate at this point was more than half people lived last year at this time died from this crime and violence. That's, the murder's been going on. So the crime has gone 600%. I'm in the Brooklyn area, and I don't like to tell the details because some people be watching I'm not fans of, but I'm in an area that the crime is insane. It's tough to even go outside late at night nowadays, and it's in Brooklyn, but it's just it's been rough. And I saw a guy in my corner store I go to who got robbed. And I was talking to him, I know the guy, he's the owner. I asked him, what happened? I could tell by the front cracked door that it was a robbery. And he said, well, the guys came in, we got an argument around 12 a.m. We left the store. About 2 a.m. they came back and they smashed the window. We saw them in the camera. We called the police and the police arrested them. And I'm like, wow, so what's going on? What happened with them? He's like, they're right there. I'm like, right there? They're like, yeah, right in front of the store. That's them talking right there. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. When they arrested them at 2 a.m., they were out by 7 a.m. And now they are out front, whatever. So I was like, I went out there because I was waiting for my food. And I was hearing them talk. And all they could complain about was how rough the police were with them when they were getting arrested. Not about like what they were doing was wrong or right or whatever it may be, but the fact that the cops were a little too rough with them while they could put them in handcuffs. So I was just like, this is where New York City's headed. Like, when it comes to late-term abortion, post-mortem abortion, them celebrating it in Albany when they passed the bill, lighting the Freedom Tower pink. You got, like I said, the homelessness is becoming an issue here. I almost got in a fight with a junkie just trying to get on the Amtrak to go back to Maryland to visit. It was over near Fifth Avenue. And I'm like, this is Fifth Avenue, and you got it's looking like Skid Row almost. And I'm like, they're turning New York City to Baltimore. And it's the same Democrat leadership. If you look where Democrats go, destruction follows right behind them. So I grew up in Maryland. I remember my friend's grandparents told me how Baltimore is a beautiful city, and you can walk at any time of night, leave your door unlocked. And they were children this time. But when things got rough, Democrats took over, they got the heck out, and now you got inner cities all over Baltimore, and and the crime rate's insane, and everything's insane. So, the main goal that I'm doing, like I said, with the CRA is to help New York, is to turn New York red. It's like letting people know about the local politicians running here in New York, get their voices heard, get them in the office, get the Senate back here, because, the left is just destroying the state. And then get the president reelected in this year, in November, get him back in office again. Because has been doing a great job with COVID, with handling with the media lies and everything like that. He's been handling pretty good. But we got to get him back in office, because if a Biden gets in there, we're going to be going backwards at a record rate. Like, this country is going to be where it would be if Hillary was president, which would be in World War III, in my opinion. Because Hillary is letting people know, if I get elected, I'm going to war with Russia, I'm going to shut down the media here in this country, the alternative news media, and that would have been shut down of people's speech, and it would have been World War III, and that would have been the end of our country and the end of the world, in my opinion. So they are trying to set us back, and they're trying to get Biden there, who can't even complete a full sentence right now, to get him in office, just to probably push him out the way to put Kamala Harris in there. And she is just so fake, and both of them are fake, but she's beyond fake. And, this is our option here, people. So, what I want to do, like I said earlier, is just keep going with the CRA, keep building up, keep growing, keep marching, going to rallies. I try to do at least one event a month, sometimes with other Republican groups in the area, so I want to show unity. Because what I notice a lot of times in the GOP here in New York, unfortunately, they have what's going on with what I call lunchroom politics, where it seems like, when you went back in school, you had a lunchroom, you had the popular kids over here at this table, you had the sports kids, the jocks over there, you had the nerds over here, you had, and that's how GOP politics is. You got the certain clubs over here and certain clubs over there. Oh, you're from this borough, you're over there, and we're in this borough, we're over here, and it's so divided.
We should all be together.
And we should all be together. It's united we stand, divided we fall. And yes, sir.
How do you tell us about this? Because I follow you on Facebook, but I'm always banned from Facebook. So
Yeah, happens to the best of us.
you can text me or send it to me somehow. He, texts me stuff, but that's very local. If you know some big events going on, I would go to any march, anything. Even go to Washington if we have to.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I don't know. When they had something in Albany, I missed it. I was told the day before. They had something in Long Island, I didn't go because it was in a parking lot, Macy's, Then there was something in downtown here. They want to get rid of de Blasio and Como in around City Hall. I wasn't told.
Yeah, I know. That's the miscommunication we have. That's the part of lunchroom politics in a way. It's like the people in the group will know, but people outside of that group won't hear about the stuff that's happening. And
I'll put my name on a list, or I'll give you mine.
Yeah, definitely. I got an email list for Eventbrite. Anybody who's interested, I'll get them on that list.
October 3rd, there's going to be a walkaway.
Yeah, but I want it. You gotta send it to me before it's gonna happen.
In DC on October 3rd, there's going to be a walkaway.
All right, thank you. I'll try, but I mean, it should be coming through my phone. That's the way we.
But that would be through walkaway.
It's through walkaway. It's a different differently.
get messages from
Right,
them.
right.
You would be on that list, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
they've announced, but is there going to be a walkaway in New York?
That's a good question. I'm friends with Brandon Strzok, and I've spoken with Brandon in the past a couple times. And when I spoke with him, I told him I really need to speak with him and just.
Is that the one, the 26th?
Yeah,
26th,
it's
that's
that
the one.
night.
I went to two already. At
Yeah.
Dyker Heights, Marine Park, and there's a big one in
How will we
in Bay Ridge.
What me and Glenn are going to do is anytime when it comes to my group, the CRA, anytime I host an event, I'm going to reach out to Glenn and let him know. He's going to let him know to all his Brooklyn Tea Party members what's
Email
going on.
blast you, Facebook blast you, everything.
Yeah, we need to know.
The information gets out there.
Is there anything that President Trump can do right now in his campaign to appeal more to minorities? And I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about Hispanics,
Oh,
Orientals.
he's doing that.
Oh, he's doing
There's
it.
something else.
And like Jewish women, Jewish women
Latinos
also.
for Trump, Jews for Trump. You got the election movie. That's
They got the Jews for Trump.
Yeah, there you go. And so Trump is reaching out to a lot of different minorities, not just black people. He's done it better than any president I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, Clinton, they give him credit for doing that as well, but all he did was pander. He went on a City Hall and played saxophone. But, Trump has actually gotten laws passed, and blacks are coming out, and they're telling you, like, I support him because he got me good work. I found good work under Trump. My taxes got cut under Trump. So there's people coming out now saying they can tell you how they benefit. It's no longer like, well, you heard this happen or you heard that happen. No, I actually felt what Trump has done, and I'm one of the black people that can say that. So a lot of minorities are waking up overall.
There was Japan for Trump recently, like Japanese holding a sign in Japan.
Wow. And when I went to Queens,
Hong Kong.
yeah, I went to Queens they had a march in Queens, in Whitestone area, so there's a lot of Asian community out there, and they were out there in droves with Trump flags and American flags waving.
And you see it all over the place. You see the boat rallies. You see the
Yeah.
excitement.
Yes.
I've seen
They're
today
anti-communist.
on Fox
Biden
News.
has a few people.
On Fox News, you had Rick Harrison from Porn Stars. You know the show
Yeah,
Porn
yeah, yeah.
Stars?
Yeah.
He was just on Fox News. He's a Trump supporter, so watch the show. I always do, but now I really want to watch it. He's a Trump supporter. He was saying that there was a big boat rally up in Nevada.
Yes,
And
yes.
and he was saying a lot of people, first time voting, never voted before. They're voting for Trump because of that governor, what he's done to Nevada, the shutdown. He's destroyed the economy over there. They're waking up, so hopefully they'll
Right,
turn red.
right.
Because at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to Texas and Florida and diluting that vote. We need to gain something back because if we lose these states, it's over for us. We need to make sure
And it's so
and I love how people leave New York and they say, oh, why are you leaving New York? Oh, it's so high taxes. Where are you going? Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure you don't destroy Florida, I say.
Exactly.
Don't vote for Democrats.
Just
If
like
you're
the-
leaving a Democrat state, you
That's why
can't stand
Texas
it,
is turning blue.
and you're a Democrat, don't turn the state you're going into to a Democrat state where they have no state income tax. Why in hell would you turn it into New York again? Well, the Democrats are for the poor. Really, you moron? You
Bunch
just
of
turned
idiots.
Florida into New York. I guess now you have to go somewhere else, to the ocean. Maybe, why don't you go into the ocean next?
Works. It works. Texas.
Now, and it's so funny because when I talk about turn New York red, there's so many people who are on the right here. They're like, this is never going. That never happened. I don't know why you're doing this. I'm like, with that attitude, of course it'll never happen. Like California was a very red state at one point. People forget that. You think if the Democrats would just gave up and said, okay, this is red forever, that they won't have California at this point? They have California because they fought for it. We need to do the same thing in New York. We need to fight and stand up and turn New York red.
Aren't the restaurants a whole coalition going against Como right now?
They
In court.
We want to at least make it
Yes,
50% where the rest of the state is.
Yes, there is.
New
There
York
was a
City's at
lawsuit.
25% now on the 20.
It should have happened months ago, but
They're not giving it
All
out.
going to go out.
They're not giving it out.
There are about 8
Opposed contact
Facebook
tracing.
pages to try to get Andrew Cuomo
They want to
indicted.
get your
I'm on all of
information
these
for
pages and I share
the
information. It's very
life one,
funny.
the
And one
of
thing
the
They're gonna open at the end of the month.
the medical
I
one.
wanted to ask you guys one thing.
Yeah,
These restrictions.
All right,
we ran out for-
Wait,
No, yeah, go ahead. No, you go.
Here's another side to this, and that is that we need to go. My friend Sarah told me about this. I've been on. I walked away in 2015. As soon as he started it, I did it, and then all my people on Facebook said, no. But then I got real quiet because I posted it and said this looks like the direction that we should go, and my crazy friend said, this is fake news. There's no numbers behind here. Then I got somebody trying to defend that. No, it's not fake news. It's just that there's not many people. So rather than argue with everybody, I just started posting the videos from Walk Away, and they said, I can't watch this.
Oh no! A lot of them said
can't
a lot
watch
of them
this.
said there was Russian bots. There were Russian bots.
So
So people were
I
tagging
dropped
me
it
in the friends
with
and
them.
family on Facebook and say, "Can you tell my aunt that you're not a bot? Can you tell my uncle you're not a Russian bot?" And I said, "I'm not a bot. I'm a human. I support Trump. He didn't pay me nothing. I did it on my own will." So, and a lot of family members of people on my Facebook I shut them up real quick because you can tell they're in that talking point zone with that person. And when I come in and say, "No, I'm not a bot," they're like, "Well, exactly."
They wanted to
So-
say that Brandon was astroturfing. You know,
Yeah,
which is like a total, you know,
What does that mean?
like you know, you start this like, you know, organization that's like that seems like it gets all this,
Oh,
you
that's
know,
what he
popular
meant then.
support and
Yeah.
like, you know, you get a lot of money and all this stuff, but it's just a grassroots organization.
see.
So like they wanted to you know, make him seem like he was just a charlatan, or you know,
Oh, yeah,
they
sure.
say it's called
One of few.
astroturfing if you look up the definition.
But Chris,
Yeah.
And then
besides
they
this
disappear.
But that's what Bill
I'm
Clinton
gonna
did in the
ask
back
all
of
you
his El
guys,
Camino.
many of us are very lonely. I mean, we really can't talk to anybody
No,
about this.
I was
Now,
before my
we're
video.
all at different.
I didn't have any social life before
We're
I
at
did my
different
walk
levels
video.
of awakening. Some of us have been. I've been researching for almost 40 years, so I have a lot of knowledge. And this aspect is one aspect, and my friend also. But we need to just be able to once in a while hang out someplace where I can talk to this person about the things that are
And
the
we also have
values
to
that
like
we all
each other
share.
on
No, you heard
Facebook
because with the
and all
CRA.
that, yeah.
Just, I mean, physically
No,
real.
No, the CRA, we were doing
course.
monthly events. The first 7 months of the events was just us going to a bar that was okay with Trump supporters being there. And we just hang out. And we took us, well, you found one though, and we would hang
Where
out
was
and we
that?
talk.
He like
What's it,
The
Jack?
Rock. Very true.
Patriot on Chambers Street, right? The Patriot on Chambers Street?
That's one of them. But this is something, Jack
really?
something. What's it?
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while because of COVID. We haven't been there in like 8 or 9 months. I can find out for you. I'll get the information
In
for
Bay
you.
Ridge, the Kettle Black.
The Kettle
Go to my
Black.
account.
Alright.
We can go there. I know the owner. We can go there anytime.
Just for an.
Probably
Yeah, but
Flannery.
I will do. I said, I'll be-
I could probably get you with the
But
Flannery.
remember, I
That
got.
feel so
Great
long.
chicken
No, I have people come up to me every
Huh?
event I do. I have somebody come up to me, sometimes in tears, thanking me for doing what I did because they had no way to speak about the president. There's a gentleman named Isaac Brown, a black guy who was a Broadway actor, and he came to my events and he would tell me like, "Thank you so much, Chris. You understand? If I even say Trump's name at my work, I'll lose my job." So he's like, I have no way of talking about the president at all in my regular everyday life. This is the only time I get to talk about President Trump. And it's just crazy that there's people in New York that live like that.
And also, it's the only chance I get to maybe say, can't we question a crazy statement like Black Lives Matter? I got lectured to. I'm a professor. I got lectured.
You got lectured to as a professor.
By,
Yeah.
no, I got lectured to because why you can't say all lives matter.
Huh.
Yeah, no, you can't say it
Oh.
because it demeans the. And I said, but we have black people in our family. We have Puerto Rican. What are you exactly talking about
Yeah,
now?
see, they don't know what they're talking about though, because I call it Black Lives Matters when I call it. Because they get all these donations, all this money, but where's the money go? It's going to the Biden campaign. It's going. They're getting funded by Clinton Foundation, by George Soros. They have people who are leading their movement who have the webpage they're setting up with communist tactics on there, breaking up the family unit. And if you ask me what's the biggest thing that's affecting the black America right now to this day, it's the lack of fathers in the household.
Yep.
That is what's destroying the black family more than anything, more than the white cops out to get us. What did LeBron say? Oh, we're going to get hunted down if we go outside. I'm like, and when he said that, I said, what, about another black person? Because that's what I fear more if I walk outside. It's not being killed by a random white cop, it's being killed by a 13-year-old with a gun and don't know what he's doing. And wants to prove that he's tough. That's what I'm more worried about. So, yeah, I'm sorry, sir, go ahead.
Can I say something? I mean, since George Floyd was killed, I spent a lot of time on Twitter, Facebook, and fighting these animals, right? And and on Twitter, I started noticing so many images coming up with Black Lives. Even the basketball players, they will have this Black Lives.
Oh, they got the slogan right in the middle of the
Right,
now.
but what I was doing is I take their image and I put an O before life and send it back to them.
Ooh, yes. That's how you do it. Him with their own medicine. And that's what it is.
And you know what? It's been 3 weeks already. I haven't seen an image on Twitter with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny? Is when I noticed when COVID just started happening. I mean, I go to events, mostly, Trump-related events or conservative, Republican events, but I go to events on the left too. I've done videos of it. I went to the the Chaz New York version in City Hall. When I was there, I was walking through, showing people. Because I want to show people both sides. I don't want to be.
It's Chaz anyway. Like
Yeah, what does that mean?
a big supporter of Chaz Bono.
That's a gang member. That's a gang member's name, Chaz. Then they made it to Chop. Chop was chopped the head off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. So it's like.
That side went so far ridiculous that it's destroying them.
Well, I told people all the
We
time,
just need to get more involved.
When I voted for Trump in 2016, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. Said I'm a lifelong Republican now. I said, Trump, I went out there, I broke my back for you, man. Please don't make me look bad. But if you do, I'll go back and vote Democrat again in 4 years.
Yeah.
No problem. But
Yeah.
what happened was,
I'm independent.
What happened? The Democratic Party left me. They went so far left, they left me behind.
That's right.
So when I was looking at them, they were getting the AOCs, the LR Omars, Rashid Tlaibs, and all these nuts saying all this crazy stuff. 9/11, oh yeah, that was just a thing, and all this stuff. And I'm like, you expect me to come back to this? Like, are you guys? There's no way. And like, the moderate Democrats allowed them to walk away. But the ones who are still remaining there, I try to find them every now and then. It's just a lot of radicals, but I try to find them. And the ones that are willing to listen, I always tell them the truth. I give them the information, the facts, the evidence, back what I'm saying.
We've been silent for too long, but that's our nature
Yes,
for many
that's
years.
right.
But it came to the point that now, thank God, we're talking and we're making sense. The other side is so out of it. Their own people are leaving. They're fighting each other.
No.
It's over for them.
You're 100% right. And I just got a lad from Barely Informed. He goes to rallies on the right and the left, and he asks tough questions to everybody. And when I went with him, what I noticed was at the beginning, like I was going to say earlier, is at the beginning of COVID, that first Black Lives Matter rally, when everybody was quarantined and they let Black Lives Matter march in the streets, that old Brooklyn Bridge full of them. The last event I went to, there's maybe 25 Black Lives Matter people were there.
Yeah.
So it went from thousands to just 25. So what's happened
police
is
rallies.
people are waking up, man. People, like, and the fact that one positive thing of this COVID thing that's happened, it's the way, some people get upset the way Trump handled it. He should have did this, he should have shut down the economy. What Trump did at the end of the day was show everybody out there, regardless of what side you're on, regardless of where you get your information from, this is what this side's about, this is what this side's about. So now people in like us, in New York area, people living in Baltimore area, people living in Detroit, people living in Chicago, these Democrat-ran cities, they're seeing when their Democrat leaders are allowed to have control, they will destroy the whole area. Portland, they will destroy the whole state if you let them, just to prove a point, just to get votes, just to orange man bad, Trump derangement syndrome. While Trump is sitting back and saying, look how I'm handling it from a federal level, and look at the Republican states, they're already opened up, they're already getting the process started. Now, who is the enemy? Is it me, one person, orange man bad, or is it the Democratic leaders that you can see firsthand in your local
The
government?
only way they could win is by corruption.
Don't
That's the
worry.
story.
Hopefully this election, the orange will be the new black.
I need a shirt that says that.
I'm more with Trump with green. Green. How about that? I don't know why we're talking about color.
No, no, really, because I grew up, like I said, I'm an 80s baby. I grew up in this country in the 90s, this is my childhood. Like, there was, racism to me didn't exist. Like, there's, when I got old enough and first time I heard the N-word was from television, I asked my parents, like, what's this word? And they were like, whoa, they were like so shocked. They were like, they kind of like, okay, we'll show you. And they kind of showed me the history. They showed me Mississippi Burning. They showed me like a movie like Glory, where they show what happened in America in the past. But they let me know, don't play victim, don't get upset, don't go out and get angry at white people. This is in the past, we moved past this. Now we're living in the country because of what they did. We're living in a country now that you can grow up in.
You just said the key. Who told you that?
My dad.
Okay.
Even in the early 2000s.
When you talk to the moron on the
things were a lot
street
less
and he's
politically
hitting people for no, he doesn't. What did his dad tell him? He doesn't even know who his dad is.
That's right.
I know
And
this.
see, look,
And it's
you
for
know,
white
it's-
people too, by the way, in Spanish.
Oh yeah, no, it's becoming a problem in the whole country, and it's
I'm
black
divorced.
children.
It affected,
Oh no, and the black children, there's 72% of black children being born out of wedlock in this country right now. That's a huge problem. Like, I grew up in the 80s, so I'm 80 baby, so I was the first generation of the baby mama, baby daddy thing. So, my dad being there, for me, especially not just being there, but being a good father as well. When I got old enough and we moved to Maryland from Germany, like a lot of my peers were like in Baltimore, born and raised in the city, man, and single parent households, in and out of the streets all times of night. When the lights came off, I was in the house. And they all made fun of me when I was growing up. Man, your dad, you scared of your dad? And when they meet my dad, they were scared of my dad the moment they met him. And they were like, man, your dad. I'm like, I told you my dad's no joke, man. And it's like but my dad went to Charles Hickey School, which is the largest detention center in Baltimore. He worked out there for 7 years after he left the military. And every father and son event there was, he'll take me down. My son was never allowed to go. No girls were allowed to go to this. It was such a bad area, bad school. When he took me down, he would introduce me to the kids there. There'd be kids walking up to me and shake my hand, or I'll try to shake their hand and try to give me like some kind of crazy vibe. I'm trying to do this. But I'll get through it and they'll talk to me, oh, what's up, man, da-da-da, and they'll walk away. And my dad would be like, how old do you think that kid was? And I was like, man, 17, 18, I go to the highest age that you can legally be there. And he, in a detention center. And he was like, no, he's your age. He's 12, he's 13. And I'm like, what? And this kid looked like was a grown adult, like he skipped the childhood. Now he's just this grown, living in the real world kind of way.
Candace Owens speaks about this the best.
She does a great job.
She gets more into the whole psychological thing that's going on too.
Oh no, because when it's funny you said it, because what happens is I see these kids, I'll be afraid, because I'm like, if I saw these kids outside of this area, I'll be in trouble. So when I was seeing how they handle my dad, oh yeah.
No, but the kids are big and strong, but they are.
Yeah, and the mother, they're very emotional because they got raised by a very emotional mother.
Yeah.
So they're emotional guys.
They act like the woman.
They act like that. Yeah, so like a woman trapped in a male's body. I get a woman trapped in a male's body. But it's true. I've seen it so many times in life.
Yep.
But when I see them when they go to my dad, I'll see how they treat my dad. So worried about my dad. It was all my dad was yes sir, no sir, yes Mr. Right, no Mr. Right, all respect. And I said to myself, wow, I knew at a very young age watching that. I said, these kids, if they would have had my father in their life, they would have probably turned out like me. They wouldn't be in a detention center. So I learned at a very young age the importance of having a father. And me, as I got older, of course, father and sons, they have their, a man becomes a man. He might have bump heads with his father on certain things. I'm my own man, dad, yada, yada, yada. But when I got through that little stuff, when I was young, my early 20s, and I sat down with my dad recently, and my dad, we had some really conversation about manhood. And, here's one thing you say to me as a young man in this country. He says, as a young black man, he's like, you can be anything you want. You might have to work a little extra harder sometimes, but you can get anything accomplished, anything. Don't ever let anybody tell you anything different. And I told him, well, that's my son. I said, Dad, you remember you telling me how hard it was to be a strong black man in this country? He's like, yeah. I said, I want to add something to that. It's hard to be a strong black conservative man in this country. That's where that's where the real fight is, because I've never in my life dealt with racism, never dealt with hate from my own community to the levels that I've seen until I came out on Facebook today and I said, I'm supporting candidate Trump. And that's when I heard racism from that point on. I heard blacks on my own community disrespecting me, saying the craziest stuff, all because I said I'm going to support this candidate. And it's insane what's going on.
And if you look at the Black Lives Manifesto, it has nothing to do with stabilizing the black community.
No.
They don't talk about how they're going to work to improve the lives of the black kids.
It's the same.
They want to destroy the family unit. They don't want you to identify with the sex that you were born with. You're not supposed to identify yourself.
And a lot of blacks
whether you're a man or a woman.
A lot of blacks I know, including my father, who's a pastor, are Christians. Yeah. So when I talk to the blacks who want to listen on the left, and they're, I know they're Christian, I'll break down, are you about killing babies? Are you about, I'll say different things. And when I go do a list, they're like, of course not, it's crazy. I know. I'm like, that's what they're passing as a Democratic candidates are passing these bills to do this. And they're like, well, I don't support it. And I'm like, you shouldn't vote for it.
What's the first thing Hitler do? What was the first thing? Defund the police. That was the first thing that Hitler did.
Yeah.
That's right.
Take away the gun.
But they have no reason to. You have to ask them why. They don't know.
But they don't know.
They really do not know.
Television told them. Television.
They just know that
They work their
can't
9 to
be a
5
friend.
jobs.
Yeah.
They have 5 minutes to watch the news,
But
and what
they
they're
don't know
watching
why.
is the local news.
Yeah.
They go on AOL or Yahoo, and everything on AOL and Yahoo.
Yes.
I still go on that because I do fantasy baseball and all that. And everything is negative, the most negative stuff you could see. So if you're doing something quickly on your computer at work or whatever, you're seeing this Yahoo
They just
thing.
believe it.
Yahoo is the worst. Everything is like Trump is Satan or something. Everything.
I thought Yahoo's better than Google, to be
No, they
honest
all
with you.
suck.
They all
Trust me.
Google is
every day.
and Google
See the
checks and
story,
Google
I see the
analytics check them.
tagline.
So if you type anything Trump, it's going to show you all negative.
I know, I saw it
I
firsthand about
recommend DuckDuckGo. Anybody out there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo.
Not only that, it
And
comes
Brave-
out
the
on your
Brave browser.
emails. When you have an email, the ad comes onto the email,
I used to go-
all negative things about Trump,
No,
about
it's biased. They're definitely biased against the president. The media is biased towards them, and unfortunately, like I said, it's brainwashed a lot of Americans. And a lot of these Americans are family members or best friends growing up. Like if people always say, like, oh, you, like some people try to say they don't know me. Oh, you just to bow down to the white man, and you're just trying to get points with the white people. I'm like, I grew up in Maryland. The first people that cut me out of their life were my white friends from elementary school. Because Maryland's just as blue, if not more blue than New York. So like a lot of my white friends from childhood were the ones who cut me off first, because they were, and also where I kind of forced some borderline racist comments from, because they were so angry and it blinded me. And it's just like, so I'm like, if I'm trying to press the white man or whatever you think I'm doing a bad job because I lost all my friends, so a lot of my friends from childhood. But the ones who were willing to listen to me were the Bernie bros at that time. A lot of them were more open to, the ones who supported Hillary, they were usually just gone. But the Bernie bros, I would talk to them, and what I would tell them is, I give, at least Bernie is being who he is. Hillary was just copying off of Bernie because she saw it was popular to get votes. Bernie was being who he was, as crazy and communist that he is, but he was just being honest of who he was. And a lot of my friends who were supporting him, I told them, I know you like Bernie and all that, but you know he's not going to win. There's no way he's going to win. Hillary's not going to let him win. And they were like, oh no, he has all the support. The people want him. I'm like, you don't care about what you guys want. Hillary is not going to let him win. Like, in her head, it's her time and there's no stopping her, period. Sorry. And I'm like, and when he gets screwed over in 2016 and he was sitting there at the DNC event all sad looking about to cry and Hillary's up there bragging, they were all on Facebook, oh, I can't believe this is BS, And I went to every single one and messaged them and I said, remember what I told you? Remember that? And they were like, and a lot of them, what they did was, well, okay, man, well, all right, man. Well, they won't listen because they're frustrated. Like, what is it about Trump? It doesn't matter who. Somebody asked me 10 questions, I'll give them 10 answers. They asked me one
People
question.
don't like to admit they're wrong.
They do. But when I laid it out for them, and they saw I was confident in how I laid it out, I had my facts and everything lined up.
It takes a while.
Yeah, they kind of, they either were like, okay, agree, disagree, whatever it may be. But as time went by, a lot of them became Trump supporters. There's a lot of my friends that are on my Facebook now. Every time I post, they're posting just as much as I am, if not more. Trump-related stuff. You wouldn't have a clue that they were once big-time Bernie bros back in the day. And they were. I red-pilled a lot of people. And I tell people all the time, a lot of people talk to me, they ask me, I'm trying to talk to my uncle, my grandfather, where, and they think they're not getting anywhere. A lot of times you are getting somewhere. The person's body language or what they're responding, they're not going to show you that you're getting there, but you are. There's been people that I argued with and people told me, like, give it up, just don't waste your time with that person, they'll never get it.
Don't give it up.
And then I'll leave it alone. Eventually I'll get my point across, leave it alone. And time goes by and they reach out to me and say, you know what, I remember that when we talked about this? Yeah, I changed my mind, I'm looking at things differently. So it's there. So some people, like, you know how people are, some people are just more hard-headed than others. And my family is a full hard-headed family. I got the hard-headed family in all of America.
I just want to make a point. I mean, I think a lot of people are waking up and a lot of people are getting red-pilled and, a lot of people are going to vote for Trump. Just remember, the Bolshevik Revolution was kind of mainly carried out by a handful of people. So it's about dedication. They could still do what they want to do because they're dedicated. We have to be more dedicated.
I agree with you there.
We can't focus on how stupid the left is. Like, that's kind of a distraction at this point. We need to focus on
that's why I stopped talking about
what we
AOC.
need to do at this point.
Keep giving the truth.
I stopped talking about it because she wants the attention period. She don't care how dumb she sounds. As long as you talk about her, good or bad, if people are talking about her, she's pleased. So I said, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you do, I'm not talking about you at all. You're done. So I get to do that with some, not just the candidates, but also Democrats voters. They're out here being foolish, blocking freeways, being crazy, whatever. And a lot of times what they want, especially from us, is a reaction. They want a reaction, they want us to put our cameras on them, give them on Facebook Live, give them the attention. That's what they want. If you just ignore them, they're like children. They're like little children, like a little bratty little kid running around. If you ignore them, they stop. That's a lot with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They got that child mentality.
They want you to come back at them, to curse them, and they want that.
Oh, no.
I know when I work right across the street from Bryant Park, and that's where they all are around. Oh God. So when they have the big crowds there, I just walk right past them. I don't even look at them. I just go. I zigzag across. While everybody's taking pictures, everybody's snapping them. I just zigzag through, and I saw a few of them look like pissed. I mean, really pissed because I just wasn't paying attention.
No, I had one time I was leaving Trump Tower and I was heading home. And I saw Antifa, in Manhattan, and a whole pack of them just marching on the street with the BLM, and, all that stuff, and justice, no race, no racism, no, fascism, no whatever, blah, 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 whatever.
Right, no
peace. So they're walking through in a big pack, all mostly, not to bring race in there, but mostly about 90% white people, all in masks and everything like that. And so I walked by them and I got my phone out, and I know how they are. And I said to myself, all I'm going to do is record them, and let's see what happens. So I got my camera out, started recording them. And I didn't say nothing. I just record them. And one guy walking by was like, that's Christopher Wright. He's a fascist. He's a da-da-da-da-da. No. So when he said that, first thing I did, because I know people watching on live, I flipped the camera to me. I want people to see, this is this racist fascist that they're talking about, people. Me. This is what they're talking about. So I showed me real quick, and I flipped it back to them, and they had the bull horns and hitting the cymbals and all in my face coming at me and all this stuff like that. So the cops are walking alongside with them. And once they started getting kind of hectic, I tried to cross the street, one of the cop grabs me and he kind of pushes me into the crowd. He's like, off the street, off the street. He pushes me right into the middle of Antifa.
Oh God.
So right now I'm in the middle.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm like, okay, well I'm here now. So if you watch the videos, it's me smiling like, hey everybody, I'm here. Everybody's very conservative, like smiling. And they're back behind me, F you da 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 da, you not da 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 da. And they're behind me yelling and screaming. I'm walking through, and like there's like maybe 2 black people in the whole group, and one of them comes up to me, and he's like, yo man, I watched it. I saw you walking down such and such road. I know that road. I know where you at, man. I know where you live. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I see him. I'm like, well, keep watching, man. Keep watching. But make sure you keep watching. I might learn something. And like, so he's like cussing me out, whatever. And I get through the crowd, and and they're cussing me out. I said, okay, God bless you guys. I kept it all the way peaceful. I didn't want to give him any reaction. If I would have took one swing or whatever, it would have jumped me, and it was, oh, he came here and did this. And da, da. I didn't give him none of that. And I walked through, and I showed the crowd and the audience. The video got a lot of attention, and everybody in the comment section was like, "You weren't doing anything. Like, you don't care if even if you're on the left and you're a Democrat, and you watch that. I did absolutely nothing wrong. I didn't say a word to them until they confronted me, and even when I started talking, it was in positivity. And God bless you.
But you're a fascist, and they're not.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I'm the fascist, and I'm the coon.
It started in Germany.
Yeah, yada 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 yada.
By the way.
Really?
Yeah, Antifa started over there.
Folks, one last question, Chris, because we still have the last bit of the 12 song. Hope you can go over before the end.
Yeah, I can talk to you guys all day.
Me too.
And we love you, Chris.
Love all you guys. By the way, this is the first time I've ever spoken in public.
You gotta tell
I was at
them.
the Brooklyn Tea Party about a year and a half